and to the ranking member. What's so great about the tool that we're talking about this morning is that it allows folks to visualize sea level rise and what it means for coastal communities. And Mr. Chairman, my state, Mr. Chairman, my state is one of those coastal communities. 21 million people live in Florida. 75% of the population of the state is along the coast. And needless to say, that the effects of sea level rise are already having its effect considerably, with water sloshing over the streets in Miami Beach and Fort Lauderdale. And lo and behold, I found out much further north on the west coast, not the Atlantic coast, the mayor of Sarasota told me, and I said, send me some pictures. And indeed, that's what's happening. We had a field hearing 3 years ago down in Miami Beach, and one of the scientists testified that it's not projections, it's not forecast, it's actual measurements over the last 4 decades. And the sea has risen in southeast Florida from 5 to 8 inches. And he said, this scientist, by the way, a dear friend, a former member of the astronaut corps who sadly has passed away from cancer, but he said that by the end of the century, the intensity of hurricanes, including rainfall near the centers of hurricanes, may increase, but even if hurricane frequency and intensity do not change, but we have every reason on the forecast this year, Lord knows, please don't let the forecast be right, that this is going to be a terrible hurricane season. But even if the hurricane frequency and intensity do not change, rising sea levels and coastal development will likely increase the impact of hurricanes and other coastal storms on the coastal communities and infrastructure. And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, here it is, a sunny day, king tide flooding in Miami Beach. There we go. Can you show that one too? All right, and another field hearing in West Palm Beach just last year, the Broward County Resilience Officer showed a video of a man biking along a city of Fort Lauderdale sidewalk submerged in seawater. And then we took the committee to St. Pete, where the city has designed its new pier out of floating docks to accommodate sea level rise. And then we could go to see tidal flooding and sea level rise in Sarasota, what I just mentioned. The vice mayor, this is Sarasota. Now, this is much further north than Miami and Fort Lauderdale and on the opposite coast, the Gulf Coast. And so those pictures, as you can see. Or St. Augustine, Florida, much further north on the Atlantic coast, where the Public Works Department is seeing nuisance flooding from high tides that overwhelm their storm system, their storm water system. And despite all these examples, these sea level rise are on sunny days. The NASA scientists at the hearing back in 2014 was talking about climate that could exacerbate the damage from hurricanes. Warmer ocean water fuels hurricanes, making them more intense. And the sea level rise compounds storm surge and rain-induced flooding. So here's some more pictures. Take a look at North Florida, Jacksonville. This is during Hurricane Irma. This is the very far north of Jacksonville, near the Jacksonville is near the Georgia line. Well, you want to take a look at Puerto Rico? Hurricane Maria absolutely ravaged the island. And it's not an exaggeration to say that climate change and sea level rise are putting people's lives and property at risk. So the real question is, what are we going to do about it? There are two pieces to a solution. One is we're going to have to stop putting so many greenhouse gases in the atmosphere so fast. That's called climate mitigation. And it means we're going to invest in new technology, in the economy of the future, things like wind, solar, electric vehicles, and more efficient buildings. Number two, we're going to have to make our communities more resilient to the greenhouse gases and the warming that we've already got in the system. And this is called climate change adaptation. And you don't have to agree with climate science to know that this makes sense. It's already been done in Miami Beach with tens of millions of dollars of huge pumps that are used to now get the water off the streets. And we're talking about strengthening building codes to withstand wind events, restoring the function of floodplains so that when 2 or 3 feet of rainwater gets dumped, it can absorb and recede, and rebuilding natural flood protection like sand dunes and beaches. I'm committed to doing both of those solutions. And Mr. Chairman, you're very kind to let me expound, but as the ranking member of the full committee, I felt like it's necessary that since your ranking member is experiencing these effects of climate change and sea level rise in my state of Florida, that I need to bring it to the attention of the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.